This is Pure Enough TJ Brady, the longest reigning AMP Pure Champion, 436 days plus on the CCP Podcast. Beyond the Bell, make sure you like, subscribe, follow every time they are live, because if you're not, you are not pure like myself.
What is happening, friends of CCP Podcasting? Welcome to Beyond the Bell Live. I am Chris Page. It is a Sunday afternoon into the evening time here in Florida, and this is going to be another episode of Beyond the Bell Live. Welcome, everybody, into the chat. I see you, Goth, over in the Netherlands, hanging out late with us this evening. It's good to have you back, brother. And for those of you who are kind of just filtering in and kind of looming in the backgrounds, we're glad that you're here. This should be a fantastic episode. Before we get started and get too deep into the party, November 22nd, it is going to be a pretty big day for us here on the CCP Podcasting channel. We are going to be putting our money where our mouths are and having our own independent wrestling event outside of Orlando, Florida. Tickets are definitely on sale now, and some have moved, and it is going to be a fun time. It is going to be Genesis, and we've got a lot of exciting announcements coming up concerning that event and what is actually going to be taking place here in the next couple of weeks. Should be a fun ride, and we couldn't do this without each and every one of you who have been a part of our platform since day one. This is a big payoff and is a big culmination of a lot of work and a lot of dedication. That's us on the platform. Let's get to our guest today. Several weeks ago, maybe about a month ago at this point, I went to an event in Florida outside of Claremont, and with a lot of first-time watches for me. I'm sitting back and I'm watching the show as it's moving forward, and all of a sudden I see my guest today. And when I say that there were a handful of guys that I went out of my way to speak to, he was one of them, because it was just enjoyed what I saw, and it was a first-time watch for me. And when I had the opportunity to line this up and sit down and talk to him, I had to take it. This is just something for me is going to be a really fun episode. Welcome to the show. My guest today, man, he's rocking double gold. One set's out of AMP Wrestling here in Florida. And I just drew a blank on the second piece of gold, but I'm sure he'll tell me what it is. It's right, Marrow, right there, Marrow Wrestling.
Yeah, Marrow Pro Wrestling's Ultimate Champion, the inaugural champion, actually.
And there's the man, the inaugural Marrow Pro Wrestling and AMP Ultimate Champion. There he is, Rafael Delgado. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
It's been busy, bro. I'm not going to lie. I had a rough stretch in the real world for the last several weeks, and this was my first weekend off, if you consider it an off weekend, because we have filmed like 14 hours of content. But we're just doing the thing, man. But it's living the dream. How's life with you? What's going on your side of the coin? And how's your weekend been?
Not that much going on. About a week ago, celebrated my birthday. Got some new gear lined up for the show in November, actually. Getting some bits and pieces put together. It's going to be very Phantom of the Opera, Mask of the Red Death inspired. And I can't wait to debut it. I haven't posted any pictures of it online yet because I'm waiting until the actual show. And weekend's been pretty fun, very relaxing. I haven't been able to do much because of the rain, other than, clean my gear, make some highlight reels, and just enjoy my days in. Because this weather's been pretty nasty.
Well, it's Florida, and it's ADD weather. Yeah. I live in it too, brother. I get it. Here in Gainesville, every afternoon, sometime between 3 and 6 o'clock, there's going to be a thunderstorm, and it's you just might as well prepare for it. It's going to happen. I would be remiss, though, if I did not point out right off rip, snazzy little T-shirt that you got on right there. And if I'm not mistaken, that they could pick that up right there. It's on the screen at www.unforgettablevision.com, and just search Rafael Delgado, and you're going to get all these little fun T-shirts there. Had to get the plug out of the way right off rip because, why not?
Thank you.
Shameless, right? Shameless.
Oh, yeah.
When I start these conversations off, like with you specifically, like I said at the top of the show, I went to the local pro show, and had no expectations. Was actually there to meet Gary. I'm sure you know Gary from the UK. We're all
Yes.
kind of tied into a project together that's ramping up in October, and he was like, "Have you been to this show yet?" And I said, "No, I haven't." So you need to come out, and I was, sure, no problem. So I brought 6 or 7 people, and we rode down to Claremont, and had, again, no expectation. And I see this guy come through the curtain, and just completely. Now I am a big fan of Alice in Wonderland. Always have been. Matter of fact, the paper in my 8th grade year, because it was about to go from middle school to high school back in my day. The thesis that we had to write, quote unquote, my topic was Alice in Wonderland in relation to a drug trip. And I went through and I pulled out each item in Alice in Wonderland that could have been laced into a drug trip or a psychedelics, et cetera, et cetera. I saw you come out as, the Mad Hatter, Rafael Delgado, and legit almost lost my shit because I was not expecting it at all, and it hooked me from the time I saw you strut through. Like you owned the walk to the ring and everything about it, and I went, this guy I need to talk to. So I am so thrilled that you were on that show and that I had that opportunity, because I don't know if I would have come across you up until this point had it not happened. So yeah, man, I'm stoked to sit down and talk to you about everything that you've got going on with the character work, all that jazz. But it all starts with your fandom, and when it comes into when do you come into professional wrestling? What drew you in to start you on this journey that you've started to take?
So I used to do community theater, and so I have a theater background, and I also used to do stunt shows and fight shows at like conventions.
Okay.
A buddy of mine that was in charge of the group said, "Hey, I think you would actually do really good with wrestling if you found a school." And I just flat out told him, "Yeah, that'd be great. I don't know if I have the time or the money and everything like that." He ended up signing back up because he used to train previously under Steve Kern, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So he signed up with the WWNTC under Francisco Chiazzo and Largo, and I went with him for a couple practices. Didn't have the chance to do anything. 2020 hit. Won a settlement from an accident. And my buddy Ariel just said, "Hey, we're having open ring, open class, something, whatever, for anybody that's interested in trying out."
Mm-hmm.
Sat in my room for about 10 minutes, and I just told myself, fuck it. If I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. And I have not looked back.
Well, when you step into the ring, and everybody has different things that maybe they had difficulties with, or stuff that they took quickly to. What were some of your moments? What were some of those that you got pretty quick? What were some of the stuff that you had problems, or maybe you had a little difficulties navigating through when you're going through this process?
I got the rolls down pretty quickly. Stunt background, fight show background, as well as amateur wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of jiu-jitsu. So like the rolls and everything like that, I got down pretty quickly. Strikes were a little rough because I'm not used to, pulling back the punches or anything like that. The slams were a bit rough because I'm used to, throwing, like, just powering the guy over and putting all my weight on them to cover for the pin and everything like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn how to adjust to that so that I don't hurt the guy when it comes to like a suplex or a scoop slam or an elbow drop, because I used to hurt a lot of my classmates and I felt awful about it. But it took some time and I got it. Bumping still took me a little while. I was just very scared to knock myself out and knock the wind out of myself.
Yeah, I remember my first day of training. Keep in mind, times are different. I'm going back to 1999 and 98 when I started training. 99 is when I debuted. Day one, brother, they had us in the ring running ropes. No, I mean, the stretched, but no, nothing. It was okay. Now go ahead and
Oh,
run. And it was, I'm telling you, it looked like I had been smacked in the back with a Sandman and a Singapore cane.
you
Like,
just brought back so many painful memories. My back just like tightened up
well,
from the
listen,
first days of hitting the ropes.
yeah, when anybody says, "Oh, I want to do this," okay, let me go see you run the ropes for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. Let me see that first, and then we'll talk about you wanting to be a professional wrestler because there's pieces of it, man, that unless you've been there and you've done it, you'll never know, and you'll look like that's what get when we're watching stuff. Like I may see something that my co-hosts don't see because outside of myself, no one else has really been in the wrestling business. So I may see something that they would see, and it makes me cringe. And they'll be like, "Oh man, what was that?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing." We're waiting till we get off the show, and I'm like, "Man, I hope he didn't break his fucking neck." That
Yeah,
didn't happen right there, or God, I hope they're okay. You get some of those
yeah.
moments. It happens, but and that's just the thing. It's a very physical sport. And it's very it's like they say the only thing fake about professional wrestling is the outcome. Everything else is 900 miles an hour, and you have that opportunity to get hurt. It happens more often than not. You don't know what you're doing. You got to have that base and that solid base. When you're starting to navigate through putting it together and putting the presentation together for who you are, because again, that's before we came on the air, I told you, and I'll tell you now, a big thing that drew me in was your presentation overall, because you put a lot into it. And I feel like, coming from a theater background, that helps you in that nature of building something that is different than, is not something that you see every day and on every show, which in hindsight makes you different. It brings something completely different to the table. So from your perspective on putting together what this looks like, what Rafael Delgado, what the Mad Hatter looks like, this whole presentation, how does that come together for you, and what was your inspiration to step into that direction of creativity?
So for years, just like every other wrestling fan, played the wrestling video games like every year. And I spent more time creating characters than actually playing the damn game.
Yeah.
And just I used to have like a notebook, and it was just full of gimmicks and storylines and everything like that, and how I wanted to go about things. When I started doing shows, my coach said, "Well, you have a very intimidating look to you when people don't know how you really are. So I want to go for like this Kimbo Slice type vibe. I'm a very strong person. I can defend myself and everything like that. But to be this badass tough guy that like 90% of the wrestling scene is like, it's not me." So with some time progressing, I told my uncle Simon Says, "Hey, I've always had this idea of bringing the Mad Hatter to pro wrestling." And he asked me, "Well, what do you have in mind? Are you going for this type of Mad Hatter, this variation, this variation, this variation?" And I told him it's going to be a combination of all of them with my own personality, because the Mad Hatter is very unpredictable. He's very whimsical and everything, and you don't know what his next move is. And the reason I choose every variation of it is because I can have freedom to do what I want with this character when it comes to promos, with what I do in the ring, uh, with what I sell for merch. It's like, why do you have this? Well, why not? It's like, but the Mad Hatter does is like, I, I'll pull up a mirror. It's like, would you do this? I'm asking you. Like, I would argue with myself. Like, I would have a little hand mirror and everything, and they would laugh. And it's like, okay, no, yeah, I'm in. It's like, yeah, the Mad Hatter just, he's unpredictable. And I'm having a lot of fun with this. I actually the move that I debuted at Local Pro, the pump handle pile driver,
Mm-hmm.
I proceeded to call it, as of yesterday, Jet to Holiday. because nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday.
I saw that
And
post.
and a friend of mine messaged me saying, "What does Jet 2 holiday have to do with the Mad Hatter?" And all I responded with was, "Yes." And that was it.
That's it.
That was flat out it.
I appreciate the work that's gone into it because, like I said, it was something that drew me in from the moment I saw you walk through the curtain. Now, here's what you don't know. Again, when I got to the show, that particular show, I didn't know who was going to show. I didn't know who was going to be there. I did look up the card on my way down. I was like, all right, because there's nobody here that I'm personally familiar with, which for me is beautiful because it's like, it's a kid in a candy store. Because Forrest Gump, life is like a box of chocolates. So is professional wrestling. I don't ever know what I'm going to get. I'm going to get, there's just a lot to it. And I look for a lot of different facets. I'm looking at, who is the crowd, generating towards, who's getting a reaction, who's getting a legitimate reaction versus, okay, just because we have to give a reaction. Like there's levels to this shit that I look at from a different perspective and a different lens. And I saw you before you got changed because I was there and I didn't recognize you. I didn't know who you were at that point in time. I know that there was a guy that was the champion, I guess, at the time. He lost the belt that night, but he was sitting at a table. And I was just kind of back in, if I was smoking a cigarette or smoking, I would get away from everybody so I didn't, my smell of my smoke doesn't bother anybody. And I saw you, at that point putting stuff out on the table. And I still didn't really, recognize or pay attention to anything and then, showtime. And you came out and captivated, and really put on this performance, as far as the character outside of the ring, but it matched with work inside the ring. And to be perfectly fair, yesterday morning, Goth, who's in chat, he's one of my co-hosts, and we do what we call Down the Rabbit Hole, which is where we follow a different company. We did local pro wrestling yesterday. And
I love it. I love the name.
Yes, absolutely. I told you, Alice in Wonderland inspired.
I love it so much.
We did a show on Local Pro, and I made sure to pull the match. I pulled that match and showed it on our channel and showed Goth because he'd never seen you before. Specifically with that show, there's several pieces of talent who are attached to what we're doing on the 22nd. And it was a way for me to, kind of introduce you to our channel. And I was like, this is Rafael Delgado, and he is coming to Genesis. He is a part of Chapter 1. There's your official announcement that you're definitely on board. And a large part of it was because I loved what I saw. And if you could connect with that crowd, more importantly, you could connect with me. And what sealed the deal for this whole show on the 22nd was I watched what was going on at this particular show. I watched how it was being filmed. I saw the crowd. I started, doing math in my head. And I started to, really think about, is this possible? Because I hadn't thought about it. And before I left that show, one of the guys on my inner circle, we're going to do this. And this guy's going to be a part of it. And here we are. And when I knew that this was happening, you were one of the first people I hit up, and I said, I definitely want to see if you're available, and if you are, what can we do? Because this needs to be seen. And that's just a testament to you, by the way. That's nobody else but the work that you're putting in, and I don't want that to ever fall at the wayside, because part of this game is being able to connect. And you have the ability to connect to people and not even realize it. And maybe you do. How's that piece of that game been for you as you have worked your way along on the Florida scene and outside of Florida? Have you been able to connect with every crowd you've been in front of? Did you struggle with it? Because I would think not with the theater background, because it feels like you would be accustomed to be performing in front of an audience.
Yeah, I was very comfortable with it because when I first started working, everybody always told me, every show you have, make it seem like it's the first time this crowd has ever watched you or who you are. They don't know. Every crowd doesn't know who you are. So every time I go out there, I do what I can to let them know who I am, whether it's interacting with certain fans, doing something in the ring that was cool looking. Doesn't necessarily have to be a move. It's always like a reversal, or just like the minute I get the upper hand, I look at them and just yes, and like they immediately is like, yeah, that was funny. He acknowledged us. You have to acknowledge the crowd. If you don't acknowledge the crowd, babyface or heel, you have nothing. You have absolutely nothing. And anybody that struggles with crowd interaction, I always tell them, look into like your nearest community theater, see if they have classes for, you know, character development, or just how to carry yourself on stage.
You know, for me, back what I used to deal with, improv places were more prominent. We were looking in the late 90s versus now. It's a totally different ballgame. We used to go to improv places and just get on an improv stage. You know,
Oh yeah.
there were many nights that we would close down. There's a spot. It was when I'm from Birmingham, Alabama originally. There's a spot in Birmingham that we would close down every Thursday night. You know, me and several of the guys that would work on the local scene there, and we would, you know, just go and cut promos and or try different things. These people didn't know what the fuck we were doing. They did, but you know, if they applauded, then we knew we were on to something. If they booed us off the fucking stage, well, we need to go back to the drawing board. So there's always different layers of being able to educate yourself, and I do love that you've taken advantage of that facet of your game, because it is definitely something that separates you and it makes you somebody that you want to see.
Yeah, the beginning of the match actually, that was all improvised.
Yeah.
The whole the fans were telling to hug coach because they're intermission. Everybody's like, "Who are you wrestling?" "Oh, I'll be wrestling coach later." He looks like he needs a hug, and I didn't do anything. I just started laughing. I was like, "That's a hilarious way of looking at the guy, the way he's carrying himself." Match starts, and it's like, hug it out. So I gave him a hug, and like I go for a hug. He ends up hugging the ref, and I was like, I'm gonna go with this. I hug the ref. He starts picking up on the cues and everything like that. So he's playing along, and I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, it's sometimes the best shit's organic, man. You know, not having a plan is can be the best plan of all, in some aspects, in some certain forms or fashions. Let me circle around to my chat real quick. Goth had a question. I'm sorry, buddy, I just saw it. Some of your inspirations to start to want to wrestle. Who are some of your go-tos?
When I started, obviously Undertaker, The Rock, Stone Cold. You know, the heavyweights, the icons of the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
And yeah, Kurt Angle as well. Yeah.
Man, Angle was a beast on a whole different level. I think that dude the world of him. He was always fantastic. I was an '80s child though. I was a Flair guy. Hate to say it now, but I was a big Flair guy.
Can't go wrong with Flair.
Dude's a fantastic entertainer and a hell of a wrestler. He could go 60 minutes, and that's all he had to do was make people believe that whoever he was in the ring with is going to beat him. That was it, and he did a fantastic job of it. I modeled a lot of my heel work after Flair, you know, late '80s Flair, just to talk people into the building to get my ass kicked, and I didn't have a problem doing it. It was great. It was fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about Imp here for a minute, because you're rocking some championship gold there, and the scene in Florida. You know, as I am still finding out. You know, it is on fire. Much like everywhere else, it seems like there's a lot of opportunities out here for you guys, and you seem to be making the most of them because you are rocking two straps in two different companies. So we'll talk a little bit about both of them for sure. We'll start with Amp and where that's at, because I believe I saw an announcement go out not too long ago that you've got a match coming up with fellow, you know, CCP Podcasting Beyond the Bell alumnus TJ Brady. That'll
be September 18th for Marrow Pro.
It's Marrow Pro. We'll get to Marrow Pro.
Yeah, it's Marrow Pro.
So let's go Amp first. Now isn't he rocking a championship over there as well?
He is. He is the pure AMP champion, the longest reigning pure champion.
Yeah. All right. Well, chat me up about your tenure with AMP and where you're at and how you've gotten to where you are, because you're one of the ones rocking a championship.
Started off with AMP when I was tagging with Nick Quinones. Shout out to Nick Quinones, the King of Battle. We were a tag team known as Los Bandoleros, and other than working WWE Improving Ground, we weren't booked elsewhere much. I was very green at the time, and he was trying to bring me in places, but I guess the promoters just didn't want someone so green. So he reached out to the Puerto Rican hound dog, Rafael Gonzalez, and said, hey, we want to work AMP, this and that. And Hound Dog spoke to us as well, brought us in. Some time had passed by. I left AMP due to me turning heel at Proving Ground and joining a different faction. So I stayed away from AMP as like storyline wise.
Sure.
When I eventually got brought back in, I was doing this gimmick known as the Debt Collector, Rafael Delgado, when I was a part of the faction known as the Set. Some time had passed. The gimmick slowly passed. Ended up doing the Mad Hatter. Hound Dog brought me in, had me do a few shows, this and that. And then we had a show in Georgia for Tri-State Championship Wrestling. And I was told by TJ that he and Hound Dog had decided to put the title on me. And I felt very, very honored because I had been busting my ass to impress everyone that I can. And it was around that time that I was like, I don't care if I ever win a belt. I just want to get a following. I want people to know who I am. I want them to know my work, what I can do in the ring, what I can do outside the ring. And when I got a belt put on me, I was like, that's just going to amp it up even more. Pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel very honored being their grand champion, like their heavyweight champion. And I want to do everything that I can possible to not only show them that they made a good decision in picking me, but that I want to bring eyes to them. I want new eyes to their product. I want new eyes to their talent, to their locker room, what they can bring. Because AMP has such a good locker room. It has a very rich history in the Florida wrestling scene. A lot of the guys that like Troy Hollywood, Snoop Strikes, Tony Storm, legends and current workers, they all went to AMP. They all worked for AMP at one point in time. And I want a new set of eyes to AMP. I want to elevate not only AMP, but Marrow Pro. I want people to know, like, hey, don't look down on these two shows. These two shows have a lot to offer. And I've noticed a lot people don't give them the opportunity. So since they put their belt on me, I was on a podcast at a film festival and I brought the title with me. Mm-hmm. And I gave them as many shout outs as possible. I shared the link and everything. I did some voice acting not too long ago. And I mentioned, that I had both belts. I actually took both belts with me to the voice recording just for the hell of it. And with your show, I plan on defending both belts.
Yes.
I want to make both of them proud.
I am all for learning about new companies and other ventures that are going on, not only in professional wrestling, but specifically my backyard. If I'm gonna cover independent wrestling, and granted, our platform, it started overseas. We didn't, again, I'm a little different, bro. Like I see what everybody's doing, and I always go to, you can be the same as, or you can be different than. And in a world of podcasting, everybody's has their own intentions, right? And have their own motives for doing what they're doing. Me, it was a little different because my motives and intentions are to watch independent wrestling. Like I would do this whether I had an audience or I didn't. And I think that's one of the key things that separates us. And then I started finding that I could, branch out and bring in other people who are very like-minded, that we want to watch indies. Somebody said that we wouldn't do it, that it was impossible, that there wasn't a market for it. Well, I'm creating a market, and enjoying what we're seeing. We started overseas because everybody here was in the States and they were focused on the States. Well, if everybody's attention's over here, I'm going to go look over here where no one else is looking. And lo and behold, we stumble into Australia. Australia, one company leads to 2, leads to 3, leads to 6. And then that takes us to the UK, that takes us to, Portugal, that we start finding all these companies, and then they wrap their arms around us because, oh my God, we're paying them attention. We're watching their stuff and introducing them to a new audience, and this audience is following. That's the other thing that is a little different. Like, some of our audience actually goes out and follows. It's shocking. I went, wait, what? So you pay attention, guys. I'm proud of you because this is what it's about. It's about you guys. Y'all are the ones out there that are entertaining us and making us want to see more. And that's a beautiful fucking thing. If you can invest the audience, then you're going to be successful with what you do. You invested me off of day one, not just myself, but sealed the deal was I specifically brought a family. One of my guys works for me in real life, in the real world. I'm his immediate supervisor, and he's new to the area. So I was like, have you ever been to a wrestling show before? He said, never live. I was like, cool. I've never seen this company before. Bring your family. Let's go. I pulled him to the side and I was like, I asked him three very simple questions. First of all, I asked him how much he paid to come in. And then the second question was, did you feel like you got the value for what you paid at the door? Because we didn't buy tickets in advance. We bought them at the door. Did you get the value that you've paid to come in? And the answer to that question, it did not surprise me. He looked at me and he said, fuck yeah. Did you see my wife? She hasn't left her ringside seat for the last 2.5 hours. Did you see her brother sitting right there beside him? Hasn't left his seat. Did you see Matt's uncle? He hasn't left his seat. It's just one of those situations. So, you guys are doing it, and it's something that for people who have never seen you before to want to see you again. Now, Harry's the guy's name, and I told him that you're a part of the show. And he immediately lit the fuck up. He was like, the Hatter guy? I was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, and by the way, I'm not going to spoil anything, but he may have new gear. And his jaw dropped. He went, what? I was like, yeah. So I'm just saying, you guys have it. You're doing something right. And to see that you're having these opportunities now with 2 different companies, and Marrow Pro is definitely another. That's not one that I have heard of. Now, AMP, I got a little taste of when I was talking to TJ and getting to hear his story about being the AMP champion for the extended period of time. Before we transition to Marrow Pro, what else do you have coming up with AMP? What's on the horizons for you there? Because you've got the Ultimate Championship, correct?
The Grand Champion.
Grand Champion, Ultimate's Marrow. See, I'll get it fucking right, I promise.
I combine them together. I'm the Ultimate Grand Champion.
that is what we're going to call it. So for AMP, the Ultimate Grand Championship, what's your next steps there? What can you tell us?
Well, I've been told that we have a date for the month of November. Mm-hmm. Has not been advertised yet, so I can't say any spoilers.
We don't do all that. Nothing that gets you in trouble. But there's something coming up in November for sure. And with Marrow Pro, I just touched on it a minute ago. Let's get I want to hear about your rise there and capturing that championship, and obviously what I confused earlier, upcoming battle with one TJ Brady.
It's fine. The next show, September 19th, I'll be wrestling TJ Brady with my title on the line. It'll be my first title defense on Marrow Pro because I've had the opportunity to defend the belt at 2 other shows. Mm-hmm. Marrow Pro is little over a year old. Started by my sister from another mister, Ashley Hartley, the Daddy Hunter. So watch out for her because she's one of the few women that actually run and own a promotion. So that's huge. But I've had a lot of fun with Marrow Pro. I've been busting my ass for them, and they're very local to me. So I help out with whatever way that I can to get eyes on the show and just bring indie wrestling back to the Tampa area.
Excuse me, I had to
You're
cough
fine.
real quick. I had to get rid of that, man. I was trying to mute the microphone and do all that at the same time. I'm curious about Marrow Pro. Like I said, again, new company to me. So I'll go out of my way to seek them out and see what they have going on for sure. You being in the Tampa market, man, it's a hop, skip, and a jump away. This for me, like, I kick myself in the ass because while I've been doing this platform for the last 2 years, 2.5 years, give or take, I was living in Clearwater and in fucking North St. Pete for the longest time, but was not even going to catch shows because I didn't know shows were there. I was too busy focusing overseas. So I kick myself in the ass to say I could have probably have seen you guys 2 years ago and have been on top of this versus walking into what I saw at Local Pro and really connecting with what I see. And I just want to say shame on myself for not really doing the research at the time. But
you're fine, because I'll tell you this: surprisingly, the Mad Hatter gimmick is going to be a year old as of next month.
Okay, so you're coming up on a year on that. But you say September. September's my birthday month, by the way. So,
oh wow,
yes, sir. And I almost, again, I almost pulled this show and did the show that we're doing in November. I almost did it in September, but I thought it was just way too soon because there's a lot of preparation, and if I do this and it fails, then I want to know that I did it being as prepared as I could for it. So that's why I put tickets on sale 3 months out. That's why I'm starting to make announcements now.
November's perfect. 3 months ahead is perfect.
And trying to line up some photographers so that you guys can get some good camera shots. It will be filmed, so I'll be able to get you guys your matches and all that stuff that goes on behind the scenes. I just want to make sure that we're prepared. Because at the end of the day, I don't, if we break even, great. If I lose my ass off, that's okay too, because those who do pay a ticket are going to have a good show. I think that we've put together a pretty solid lineup of talent of people that I've seen in Florida that I think are going to do some good stuff, and some people who may not be from Florida. I'm not going to get into too many announcements, but I haven't announced publicly yet. But I will say this, that we. Not too long ago, I found out that you were very, have met and were friendly with another guy that I happen to have a lot of respect for and hold a lot of personal regard for, with Skrilla The Great.
Skrilla The Great.
Yes, sir. And he too is going to be a part of the show. I had no idea that you guys knew each other or had met each other on the scene prior to, for different reasons. I credit that guy for giving us Georgia for when we first came into this line of work, if you will. So for your side of the coin, give me a Skrilla story. Let me hear how you and the Great One have crossed paths in the past.
I first met Skrilla when I was training, and I hadn't been doing shows just yet, and I was ring announcing actually. So I was in Georgia with my coach, and I had ring announced for Lariato Pro.
Okay.
And that's where I met Skrilla The Great. Needed his information and all that, obviously. Then the next time I saw him, I was actually working already, and I was taking my coach's spot at a show in Georgia because he wasn't able to make it. And from there, he recognized me when I was ring announcing, and he was like, "Oh, you're working now?" I was like, "Yeah, I do this. This is my gimmick currently, this and that." And he was giving me pointers on what I should do and what I shouldn't do, how I should properly carry myself, because I explained to him what my gimmick was.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, he was asking me just, your typical advice, typical questions, giving me advice. And he just said, whatever feels like you think is going to work, stick with it. And anytime I need advice or I need inspiration, I'll go to his Facebook page and I'm just like, this guy gets it. He knows this business. Yeah, this is a role that I need to look up to and that I need to communicate with when I need, some pointers.
From my side of the coin, this whole platform has just been grassroots since day one, and if you have for every successful project we have, we've probably had 15 failures. But I'm a firm believer that if you're afraid to fail, you're never going to succeed. So along the ride and along the way, we developed our spotlight show, and with Skrilla, I just happened upon him on fucking YouTube. I don't know how. Like, I wasn't necessarily searching for him. I don't know how it even populated, but it led to, like, we did this show on him. He didn't know who we were. I didn't know who he was. For real, for real. This was how we got to know each other, and that's where our connection grew. When we started doing Beyond the Bell a little over a year ago, dude was guest number 4. Didn't have to give us any time, didn't have to do anything. No, you give us like almost 2 hours. Just nuts. And I ended up meeting him in a show in Atlanta earlier this year for the first time, and knew again when putting this thing together that there were people that I specifically wanted attached to this, success or failure. I wanted them on board with it, and Skrilla was one of them. Dude did a lot for us, and I'm a firm believer of loyalty. It works both ways. And here we are, and now we'll have the opportunity to work with him. And I think that it was cool as shit to know that you guys had a connection, that, in some form or fashion, because I didn't know. And I just, again, wrestling is, 6 degrees of separation, apparently, because here we are.
Yep.
And we talk about, Genesis itself, and again, a whole lot of announcements for sure. I can tell you guys there's 7 matches that are booked on the card, and I'll give away yours now, because I got you, and I'll be able to use this here in just a little bit when we get that far. But I have been fortunate enough to sit down and talk to a lot of really good people across the independent circuit, and putting this thing together, I knew that there were going to be some guys that hit me up and said, "Hey man, I want to come and do the show." I get it, but at some point, money only goes so far, and to make sure that everything that I need to get covered is covered. Like, there's no more wiggle room. I've cut it. I've had a hard cut because I have that in my bank account right now. It's paid for. It's taken care of, and to me, it's now out of sight, out of mind. The building's been paid for. The everything that I need to take care of outside of the boys has been taken care of. We're square. But I had this guy Cassius come on the show, and he owns another company in Texas. It's smaller indie fed. Heathens Entertainment's what it's called. Dude was such a fantastic guy, and had a really, really good connection with him. And he hit me up and he was like, "Man, do you got room?" And I was like, "Bro, I can't." I basically just told him, I was like, "Man, I can't bring you from Texas. That is a long hoof and a long set of transportation. Just, it's not gonna work." He's like, "I'm gonna make a trip. I'm gonna come to Disney on vacation." And he's like, "If you can just make a spot for me." And I was like, "I think I can make that happen, because I am waiting. You know who I'm waiting on. Nobody else does. But I'm also waiting for a hard confirmation from another individual. And in the meantime, I really think that this guy Cassius, his character, would work really well with you in this situation. So, it'll be billed as Cassius versus Rafael Delgado. The both straps, will put them on the line as long as the feds are okay with it and they approve it, which I think, we've had that conversation. I think we're safe to say that is okay. And if you're rocking them at that point, because there's a lot of time between now and then, let's be fair, it's August. It'd be you and Cassius. If we get the confirmation from my other guy that I'm waiting on, then we're going to move that right into a triple threat match and do maybe probably elimination match or something like that. But we'll get both the straps online. But for sure, it'll be you and Cassius, with the possibility of a third edition, which we're both hoping for, because it'll be just fucking dope if we can make that happen. But to know that you're going to be defending both these straps, we're going to try and make some magic happen on the 22nd. Any words to your opponent who may be out there paying attention and maybe out there doing some homework because he knows that he's got a championship opportunity in front of him. He's trying to come to Florida to make a reputation for himself. Man, you're putting your money where your mouth is with both of these championships.
Bring it. Let's tear that house down. Let's try to have, no, not try. Let's have the match of the night when the show happens. Let's give the fans something to remember.
He has a cult of pizza, and he better leave his cult back in Texas because we don't play those around here. And unless your name's Casey Vi, depending on, but that's a whole nother story for another day. Yes, sir. We always vie to achieve. What are some of your, obviously rocking 2 championships, being able to be the guy to promote 2 brands that are in Florida right now. What are some of your other accomplishments that you're very proud of thus far within your run? And granted, you're way closer to the beginning of your run than you are anywhere near the end, and there are a plethora of moments that are sure to come your way, but thus far, what are some of the things that stand out to you and that you're very proud of?
The fans that gravitate towards me. Because for the longest time, I do my best work. I do it whatever I can, whatever show that I'm on, I come out, I am in character, everything like that. And like I said earlier, every show I perform, I make it seem like it's the first time I'm performing there. People don't know who I am. At the local pro show back in December for the battle royal that they had, I came out and the crowd went nuts. And I almost broke character and paused, is this for me? No, this can't be for me. Stop it. You guys are being nice. And the fact that, at the end of every show, I have kids coming up to me just wanting to take a picture and said that, I was one of their favorites from the show. It means a lot because that shows me that, the work that I'm putting in is paying off.
Bro, it ain't just the kids. If you recall, I waited specifically because you had a line. And as soon as I saw a moment, I made my way over. I just wanted to introduce myself. That's what I was coming to do, to let you know that I saw you and that I would be reaching out to you in some form or fashion. Then once you get hit blinded, random fucking podcasting account hit you up and said, "Hey man, I saw you and I liked what I saw." It's kind of creepy, but if I come up to you and I'm like, "Hey man," face to face. But in the confines of this conversation, what happens? More kids come up to the table. A couple more coming. All I say to you is, brother, you go handle that. Go make that money. I'll be in touch with you. I just wanted you to know who I was, and I'm following you right now. And in a loss, here we are. So it wasn't just the kids that you can connect with and that you can get people that are interested and that want to invest. And investing comes in multiple different ways. Whether it's time, whether it's obviously putting on a show. Because again, when I walked out of that show, I had in my head several people that I was going to contact about doing this to see if there was anything that they wanted to do or if they were interested. And then you were on the list as well as all right, this is somebody that I would need to know if I can make something happen with. Because I want to see the character, and then knowing what I know about what I will see on the 22nd makes me just that much more interested, because there may or may not be a shift. There could be a couple of different things. I'm not going to give too much of it away, but it should be a fun time. All that aside, because that is business and it's coming up several months from now, there's a lot about independent wrestling that's on fire everywhere. And the beautiful thing about what we do here is that we get a chance to see it all, and we see it on every continent. And when I get the opportunity to sit down and talk to guys like you who are hungry and who are passionate and who really want to do this and get out there and make something happen, it always makes me want to ask, whether it's here in the States, it could be internationally. Where are some places that if you have the opportunity to work, where would you want to go? And the typical bullshit answer is I want to go work everywhere. No, there are places that you obviously you've scoped out that are on your radar that, on the independent scene, everybody wants to hit the Fed. I'm talking about on the scene to get you to the Fed. Where are some of those places that you want to go and learn and that you want to go and work?
Reality of Wrestling and OVW. Right now, those are my goals. Eventually, I'd prefer to actually work for TNA other than the Fed. But Reality of Wrestling and OVW.
I love how that was without hesitation too. Like you didn't know that question was coming, and there was no deviation. It was straight up Reality of Wrestling, followed by Ohio Valley Wrestling. So I'm gonna have to put you in touch with our man, the Savage King, because he is a mainstay in Reality of Wrestling, friend of the show. He's been on our Beyond the Bells in the past, and we'll definitely be circling around with him in the future. Fantastic guy. And if Reality of Wrestling is somewhere where you're wanting to go, he can definitely tell you what you're going to need to do to get there and what it would take to make that happen for you. And the same can be said for Ohio Valley Wrestling. We've got a couple of friends up there that we won't mention on the air because shh.
I've worked Dark Clouds.
Okay.
Dark Clouds from OVW. They've been on Proving Ground a handful of times, and I was a part of a tag team gauntlet match with them. We didn't get to do much because they wrestled like 3 tag teams before my partner and I.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was after we beat them, they were going to beat us down, and we were going to do a program with them. But things kind of fell through with scheduling and everything like that. So once we're all there at Proving Ground together, hopefully we can, continue where we started.
Yeah, we need to see that. And the backside of that too is, Texas in general is, say that Orlando is the start, and if Orlando works, Southern California is the next stop because we've got friends out at Millennium Pro and Primal Pro, and then Texas is the next stop because we have friends in Texas too. We're on the forefront of trying to do something a little differently for independent wrestling, and I think that guys like you who are out there and making this thing happen deserve to have the spotlight put on you and deserve to be put out there for other people to say, hey, I probably need to check this guy out. And I say that because that leads me to kind of like my next question. And it's one of those that is a guaranteed clip because we've had a lot of success in the past with making some bookings happen because people see it on our show. It's happened it's happened here in the States and it's happened overseas. And don't ask me why, but obviously the right people saw it, and legitimately it's wild. I can't believe it. So give me some names of some people that are out there that you want to work with, that you see on the scene, that you think that you can have a good match with, or just your own dream matches. And it's not limited to 1 or 2. Like whoever you think that's out there that you think you can jive with and you can mesh with, who would it be?
I'd like to work with the veteran Jack Bond.
It's fantastic.
Just because his whole demeanor of being the professional wrestler and me just being an absolute idiot. I think that's a fun story that we could tell in a match.
Tie slap.
Big Trouble Ben Bishop, obviously. He's very entertaining. I know I said I didn't want to be in the Feds, but there are people from the Fed that I would love to work. I would love to work with the Wyatt Six, obviously. A big inspiration for the gimmick was Bray Wyatt. And eventually when I do turn heel, you will see why Bray Wyatt was such an inspiration.
It's funny you say Ben Bishop. I reached out to Ben for the 22nd, and it was already booked. He's a friend of the show. He's sponsored him for Richard Holiday's narcissistic behavior event too. It was a way to pay that back. We had him on the show probably 9-10 months ago. Fantastic guy. Wanted to line that up because if I could, I would have had him. I would have had him here in a heartbeat. He'd have been one of those that I just like, you just tell me what is it going to cost to get you here? I would willingly lose money on that if I needed to, because that would be so entertaining. So entertaining.
Let's see. I'd like to, at some point in time, work damn near anybody on NWA.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine who is out in California, who everybody should keep an eye on, his name is Zakairis. Love the dude to death. He is a brother of mine. We've never actually had a one-on-one match before.
Okay.
And keep an eye out and ears open for the world's most colorful kaiju, Zakairis.
Okay. What part of California is he in?
I forget. I'm having a brain fart at that. I'd have to message him later and
don't worry about it.
Send profile to you. But he will be down here in October. And if I have a show that I'm booked and I don't have an opponent, I'm going to take him with me. It's like, hey, this is my buddy. He's available. He's here in town for the week. If I don't have an opponent, or if you have space to squeeze us in, we would appreciate that. Because I have yet to have a one-on-one with him.
Should have pushed it back to the end of November. You know, I mean, I don't mind running a 4-way, 3-way, 4-way. If we can get the confirmation on our other cat.
I'll shoot him a message after this.
Yeah, man. If we push that back, we can make that happen. We can almost guarantee that in some form or fashion. For sure. Anybody else out there on the scene that maybe you're wanting to tangle and get in the ring with?
None that come to mind at the moment.
Okay.
Everybody that I've named is who I want, and I guarantee you towards the end of this, there's going to be one name that pops up, and I'm going to screech like a pterodactyl, like, oh my god, this guy.
Oh, that's what DMs are for. And again, if for those out there, if you're watching live or if you're catching it on replay, don't be that guy or that girl. Oh, you didn't mention me. My fucking DMs are right there on the screen, just like his are. Send me a message directly. This is exactly what our platform is for. You say that you're interested. I say, okay, here's some dates. Or I say, let me see what I can do about getting a show and working you into a program. So we do a lot of stuff, man. We've been fortunate enough to connect with Fed heads and writers and all kinds of different people and develop relationships with so many people all over the world. So many companies all over the world with the goal in mind to turn you guys on to as many people as we can that we know are reputable, because we've either covered them, continued to cover them, or work with them on various projects, because there's a lot of stuff that we do, that nobody will ever see, and we're okay with that, because we're not the guys that go out and feed the homeless man and film it. That's not what we, you know what I mean? Like, that's not the kind of help, when we help people. Somebody goes out and says, oh, this came from, well, that's on you. That's not why we're here. If that's great, but whatever. We want to help people. And our network is ever growing. And I definitely want to get you seen by as many fucking people as I can. The same thing with everybody who's attached to the program that we're running down the line. And I know that this is not a Genesis podcast by any means, but I'd be remiss if I just didn't, have this opportunity while I had you to explain to you how important you are to the show itself. Because again, it wasn't until I was sitting at that event, wasn't until I started looking around and seeing how this was really being done and what was going on with the whole project and the piece of it, dealing with Gary, with my aspect of the project that we're going to be working on in October, seeing and meeting Les, and seeing the character Like, it was instrumental because that was where the switch clicked, and I went. And in my head, I start putting a roster together. And in my head, I start putting things together. It wasn't until I saw you walk through that curtain that I went, this is doable. And this guy, I need to have a piece of it in some form or fashion. He needs to be a part of it in some form or fashion.
Thank you. I can't wait till at some point in time I get to be heel with this character, because even when I'm baby faced, like I roll with the punches. The amount of times at shows I get called Willy Wonka, and I'll be like, "That's my cousin, and he wears purple." Or they call me a leprechaun, obviously because of the all the green. They're like, "Oh, you look like a leprechaun." I was like, "Do you guys not pay attention to every variation of the Mad Hatter? He wears green."
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, "Oh, but Mad Hatter," and I'll roll with it. So if they mention the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland, I go, "Oh, you mean my great 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 grandfather?" Yeah, no, green has been passed down in our lineage.
Yeah.
And they immediately, like, I just roll with it. It gets to the point where it's like, well, I have a backstory now. I'm related to every variation of Mad Hatter, so ta-da!
You have to make it work, and you do it well. And I think that it's fantastic to see. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what else you do, not only here in Florida, but also in our situation with what I am going on here within our podcasting platform. And I can tell you that I've already looked at logistics of this particular show that I'm putting on, and I've got to see how everything tracks and everything plays and how everything pans out. But I already know where I can cut cost if I have to cut cost elsewhere to see how this works, because I know that doing what I'm gonna try to do is not been. And I'm not trying to gas it up by any means, because it's not crazy or elaborate or anything of that nature, but I don't think it's been done before on the independent scene. It's not me putting on wrestling shows. It's me going to and incorporating people who have wrapped their arms around us. So the example, if this works, we go to Southern California. Millennium Pro Wrestling is where we would host the event. They've been very supportive of us. They always make time for us. They come in, and their head writer comes in and watches shows back with us. Going out there, and then talent that have come on the show, booking them priority, doing something fun on a low scale level, to where if I lose, okay, it's not the end of the fucking world. I just want to put on a good show, and I want the people who do come to it to have a good time. That's again where it's all about. Whoever paid to see it, I want you to know that you had a good show with local talent, and maybe somebody that I have to bring in or want to bring in. And that's it. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, okay, I tried. And did what we could do. I feel like it's the next evolution of where I want our platform to go. And to have someone like you attached to it makes me feel a lot more comfortable about that. And so will other people. I do want to ask you this. We talked a shit ton about wrestling and a little bit about some theater stuff and a little bit about your background and odds and ends. When you get that opportunity, when the lights are off, the camera's off, real world shut out, you don't have to deal with professional wrestling. You get the opportunity to do something that we hardly ever get, and that is to relax. What are some things that you like to do for you, or that you enjoy doing when everything else is tuned off? You get to have the moment for yourself.
A day to myself. I will hang out with my brother and my nephew, or if I just don't feel like leaving the house, open the windows, just to get like a fresh breeze into the house, read a nice book, or watch some anime.
Oh, see now, anime. That is a very broad subject. I don't know a whole lot about anime, but I know a lot of people who watch our stuff do. So I did not at least ask, give me some of the anime stuff. And I may not know what the fuck you're talking about, but I know our audience will. And there are a lot of my co-hosts that do. And they're going to make fun of me after the fact, because they're going to say, I always told you should have learned about anime. And I told him no. So give me some of your anime of choice.
What I'm currently watching right now is Kaiju number 8. I just finished Windbreakers. I'm all caught up on Fire Force. I have started a new one that has come out a couple weeks ago called Gachi Akuda. And I'm all caught up on Sakamoto Days on Netflix. There's a few more, but like I take it one show at a time because if I watch multiple, when I try to remember certain episodes, they just all mesh together, and I'm like, no, that's not right.
It gets you get that smorgasbord effect, right? It just all floods
Yeah.
in and it all bleeds together. I get it
Yep.
100%. Man, I know with these conversations that we just really scratch the surface, and that's by design. Truthfully, like we believe in obviously long term relationships over short term gains with anybody that comes on our show, not just. This is for us, it's not a one and done thing. Obviously, you're attached to what we're doing in November. If it was a one and done situation, we probably wouldn't be there. But I truly cannot wait to see what else you do. And now we are, as a channel, are firmly locked in on Rafael Delgado. And much like I make trips to Orlando, I'm gonna have to get a little bit more keen on your scheduling so I can make some trips down to see you and support you guys locally, whether it's in Tampa or et cetera. As long as I have dates in advance, I can usually make some things happen, shift some programming around, and make my time available to come and support you, much like you've come on our show here today and supported us. And before we get ready to sign off, I always like to turn things over to you for you to plug away at anything that you got, whether it's upcoming events, merchandise. We got all the links and all the stuff on the screen for you right there. What do you want to plug on the way out? Anything that you want to promote? The floor is yours.
Give me a follow on Instagram. My profile name is Rafael_Delgado91. You can find this shirt as well as an up and coming design coming out soon at unforgettablevision.com at the Rafael Delgado page. We have a limited time line of Gears of War merch, which I'm absolutely excited for because I actually just bought my shirt because the new Gears of War is coming out. And once that comes out, my phone is off. I will be dead to the world because I'm going to be hooked on that game. That is one of my favorite franchises. Next Saturday, August 30th, showcase of Citrus. I will be wrestling Drexler at local pro wrestling. And then after that, who knows where the Mad Hatter will make an appearance.
You say that the game, what was that game you just mentioned?
Gears of War.
Gears of War. You were the second person in about 48 hours on this particular show that have brought up that franchise. And I have to throw a shout out to my dude Kazul over from Malaysia Pro Wrestling. I had him on Friday. Dude is a motherfucking pilot in the real world. And how does he relax? Plays that fucking game. That's how he relaxes in the real world.
If you are watching this episode right now, go to Unforgettable Vision, get my shirt. It is the CogTag logo with my logo in the middle.
Yes. Make that happen, guys. Make that happen. Mr. Delgado, I really do appreciate you giving me the time and having this opportunity to sit down and just learn a little bit more about you ahead of what we have coming up down the line. And I look forward to seeing more about what you have going on, obviously, in your neck of the woods. The local pro show, I may have to see about that. I may have to see if I can make that one. If I can't, I need to know about your other dates and other places, because not only for me is it coming to be able to support you and what you're doing, it's also given me an opportunity to see a new company. And for a guy like me who covers independent wrestling, that right there on top of being able to support is almost invaluable. It's getting the chance to see what other people have going on and being able to witness it live and feel it live, because there's a difference. It's a difference between watching something and reacting to it in a seat versus being there live as it's happening and feeling the crowd And when I
You know,
felt the crowd for you, sir, at Local Pro, it sealed the deal. I can't wait to see what you're doing next,
hey,
man.
it's funny that you mentioned that because anytime I go out with a group of friends, like say to a bar or bowling alley, and there's wrestling on TV, they'll pay attention to the people around us, and they'll hear like the people that are WWE fans and everything like that. And without me knowing, they'll go up. Oh, well, you should go to local shows. My buddy over there is a pro wrestler. And they would laugh it off. And then they would pull up my Instagram. I would turn around and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? It's like, oh, I'm promoting you. I'm showing them that
Yep.
you're a pro wrestler. This and I'm like, okay, just you should have asked me first because now I'm just standing there like, hello. But then they come over, they'll ask me questions. I was like, oh yeah, no, come to the local shows. Tickets are only 10, 15, $20. You get right up there to the ring and you have a wonderful time. So I've actually had a lot of new people come to indie pro wrestling shows.
That's the name of the game, man. Putting you in front of more people, getting more eyeballs on whatever is going on, and not only you, and bringing eyes to the companies and other things. Like that's the recipe for success, and that's how companies grow. And growth is obviously what everybody's looking for in some form or fashion. This again, it has been absolutely tremendous. It has been a pleasure to be able to sit down and talk to you, and I hope to have you back, man. I can't wait to see what's going on in the future.
I'd love to be back.
The easiest way, guys, that you can support independent wrestling is by sharing, and subscribing. And as Mr. Delgado just said, it's been on the screen the entire show. Instagram, Rafael_Delgado91. And merchandise. Again, it is unforgettablevision.com. All you have to do is search for Rafael Delgado, and you will see all of the merchandise. You can support that way if you're a t-shirt guy. But at the end of the day, you should follow because everybody's a social media guy, and you've been on the show. You've been watching this for over an hour. If you haven't done so by now, shame on you. For Mr. Rafael Delgado, I am Chris Page, and we will see you next time.